Greetings to everybody. Today, welcome to all. We will be reading from revered Babuji Maharaj's Complete Works of Chandra, Volume 6. Here he talks about the ultimate stage and the stages that we are supposed to reach. But before that, I wish to share few thoughts about witnesshood state. Because without arriving at that witnesshood state, all these lofty conditions that Babuji Maharaj is talking are unfathomable. So, the first thing that we understand is when we are trying to analyze things as dualities, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong, we are going around and round. But when we are in a state of acceptance and when we develop this witnessing attitude, so the state of witnesshood is of paramount importance for us to arrive at for real progress. So, when we develop the witnessing attitude, we simply get out of that circle, the external circle. Developing this quality of witnessing will bring us to a total new human being into existence. Because this state of witnesshood would take your consciousness out of all the bonds and conditioning. Because conditioning exists in the outer layer, matter, your body and your mind. You are conditioned by so many things, dualities, opinions, analyzation. So we have to get out of this periphery circle. When we move to the consciousness field, this conditioning drops and witnesshood starts to happen. And this witnessing gives you the experience that you are beyond the bondage, beyond conditioning. And at that moment of transcendence, you remain stable. So, witnessing is the technique for centering. We have to center ourselves. We have to try to continuously be in the center, in the consciousness of the absolute. When we breathe, we try to center. But we can live in the periphery of our being, the external matter being, and we can be trapped by ego, or we can move into the center of our being. When we move to the center of our being, there's no action, there's no reaction. From the center, you remain untouched. And that is the result of meditation arriving at a witness state. When you are in the center, the periphery is so far. When you are in the absolute, connected to that state of being, the matter is so far. And it does not disturb us. So either love or kindness or compassion is far from this field of the matter. This love, kindness, it's in the consciousness field. From the periphery, so it is not complete. When love, kindness, compassion are from the external world of matter, it is not complete. But you are able to express this kindness, compassion from the center of your being, from the absolute, it is complete. So we have to understand this. When we are saying we are developing kindness and compassion, it cannot be from the outer body-mind field. It has to move into the consciousness field. It has to become a feeling. It cannot be a thought. Kindness is not a thought. Compassion is not a thought. Love is not a thought. They're all feelings, and feelings can only arise in consciousness. So, either love or kindness or compassion, if it is from the field of matter, from the periphery, it is not complete. When it comes from the center, the absolute, it is complete. So, the idea is when you act from the center of your being, your action is total. And when the action is total, it is moment by moment, this moment. You are in this now, in the center, in that witnesshood state, and you don't carry any samskaras, any impressions. So when Daji says become centered, that word has a profound meaning. That is, every moment being in that state of the absolute, coming away from the external matter and periphery. And this act of centering ourselves leads us to that meditative state of witnesshood, and that solves the problem of life itself. Because when you're thinking, it keeps you in the past and in the present. In the witnesshood, there's no past or the future or the present. There's just the present. No past or future, this moment. So, when you're trying to understand this idea of witness and thinking, what is the difference between that? You cannot be dead and alive at the same time. You cannot be sleeping and awake. You cannot be thinking and be in the state of witnesshood. In witnesshood, this thinking stops, silence manifests. So, idea is when we relax, the awareness arises. And so, what is the difference between sleep and meditation? Everybody asks us. In both sleep and meditation, thinking disappears. In deep sleep, awareness is also disappears. Awareness is also gone when we are in deep sleep. But in meditation, awareness remains. Because something beyond you is witnessing that state of being. So meditation means being relaxed like in a deep sleep, but be alert and keep the awareness of the state of being that leads to witness. So this simple act of meditating every day at the same time, done with this awareness, centering, being present in this now, leads to that immense progress that we are all craving for. So, in this ultimate stage that Babaji Maharaj talks, I have tried to clarify this subject with the help of pictorial depiction of concentric circles in my book Reality at Dawn. Our present position is in the outermost circle, periphery. That is why I was talking about this periphery. And our journey entails traveling to the center of the innermost circle. So, when we are saying centering, we are not just talking about a basic being calm. You are actually moving from the periphery to the center of your being. Our journey entails traveling to the center of the innermost circle, which is our destination and the journey's end. We have to cross all the circles during our journey. These circles, in fact, various degrees of spiritual progress, which I have presented in this manner. Innumerable veils are present at each layer with each circle, and much time is needed to cross each layer. What are those layers? Is the 5 circles of Maya, 7 circles of ego, and in the central, the 7 rings of splendor. So Babaji says the first 5 circles of happiness are called the fields of Maya or illusion. And this is the first stage of the journey of human life. Why is he saying this is the first stage of human life? A lot of times we don't realize when Babuji and Daji are saying animal being to human being to divine being, think about what is the nature of an animal being. An animal being, it tries to protect its territory. It is it's instinctive. It is never relaxed because it's always worried some animal is going to attack, take its food, take its territory. And so this fierceness is there to kill, the competition to survival, competition to survival. So if a human being possesses this, that is why we work on this point B. If a human being still continues to have competition, I am doing this, then they are stuck in that animal world. They have not even moved to earth point. They have not even moved to the first point. They are still working in the lower fields. That is why meticulous point B cleaning is important. So, and then the possibility of this transcending the human kingdom, which is the human kingdom is from point 1 to 5. If we are able to transcend, master each chakra, be balanced and peaceful, then the possibility of crossing that third point where judgment has to totally leave us. That is a very profound point and a difficult point to cross because we all have opinions, we all have hatreds, dualities. So that is why Babuji and Lalaji have given us this beautiful technique, which I repeat like ad nauseum, this weakness of criticizing, blaming, complaining, stubbornness, opinions, judgment. They have left me for good. I have no attachment to it. I have to meticulously do those things. So, this is why the first 5 circles of happiness are called the fields of illusion. And this is the first stage of the journey of the human life. So, some of us have to first work on the animal life, coming from that animal tendency to the human tendency. In the beginning, this condition is heavy and gross, but gradually it becomes light and subtle. And this state becomes very, very subtle upon reaching the 5th circle, and the effects of Maya starts waning. A person who has achieved this state is to be totally free from the bonds of Maya, and this is called undifferentiated state, which is known as Avyaktagati. People have also called it the state of Jivan Mukti, liberation during life, because one is freed from the severe bonds of Maya. People normally think that freedom from the bonds of Maya means one has gained access to the divine circle. This would automatically infer that the next region after having crossed the 5 circles of Maya is the divine circle. But by the illumination received from my Guru Maharaj, I found that it is not so. Because there now, after human circles, the heart region, we are entering into the ego field. By the but by the illumination received from my Guru, I found that it is not so. In fact, after the 5 circles of Maya illusion, then comes the region of ego, which encompasses the next 11 circles, the 11 layers of ego. It is indeed very difficult to describe the different conditions prevailing at every circle, simply because it is difficult to express them in words. Now our journey commences in these rings of ego, and we march on, crossing them one after the other. For the sake of understanding, it is enough to say that with each step forward, the condition of the ego, which was gross and heavy at the onset, becomes light and subtle. So much so that in the last circle of this region, the ego is almost negligible. Even still, it is impossible to completely remove ego. A little bit always remains, but it is so subtle that it would be improper to call it ego. It can be called an extremely light ego feeling. So, in this way, by crossing these 16 circles, we are free from the bonds of Maya and ego and have stepped into the divine circle, which I called the central region. Here, there is neither Maya nor ego. Only an extremely subtle feeling of ego prevails, which I have named it as identity. There are 7 rings in this region also, which I have called the 7 rings of splendor of light. This light, however, is in a very subtle form and is described thus for the sake of calling it something. As we march onwards, crossing these spheres, the deep feeling of identity gradually becomes subtler, and reaching the last circle, it assumes its original form, which means that the ego is removed. That is why we make this intention about this original form, even when we are making the intention of senses. All my senses are in a state of balance. They have arrived at their original form. When they go back to their original form, they are in the state of absolute balance. So that intention has to be correct. After this, only swimming remains. Now we keep on swimming in this infinite ocean, which does not have any shore, and man enters that place which I have represented in my book as the final destination. One can surely achieve this by being freed from all bondages, but the actual test is whether one can achieve it in the present lifetime. It is rare to find anyone who had attained progress up to that level in his lifetime. As a matter of fact, it is the invention of our Guru Maharaj that a man, while leading his normal day-to-day life, can safely achieve the state of swimming in the infinite ocean. How is it possible? It's because of the transmission, pranahuti. Although I have tried to describe the different conditions of the various circles, I am unable to find the appropriate words for them. I do not know to what extent the divine has concealed his real state, which has no beginning and no end. After crossing the 7 rings of splendor, if one remains in control of his mind and can express the state in words, it still remains a wonder as to what he will find moving ahead. When I try to have a glimpse of this through contemplation, my mind is completely baffled. The actual center is inactive, and I assume there is a circle around it, which is the final circle. I can speculate about it, but it is impossible to describe it. So the lovers of spirituality can guess how much they will have to travel in order to realize the goal and how difficult it's going to be. It is only transmission, pranahuti, the main ingredient and power of the heartfulness movement, that makes this hard work so simple and solves the problem of numerous births and rebirths after this present life. Love means the person is engrossed in the beloved that he does not even comprehend while he likes him. You are so absorbed in that condition of his beloved that you don't know why you even love it or why you are even practicing. There's one important statement that Babuji says in the next line that I want all of us to understand, because Daji has said that generosity is the qualification to enter the cosmic region. What is the opposite of generosity? Selfishness. So here Babuji clearly states, as long as there is selfishness, liberation is impossible. Selfishness is not only in the world of the matter, selfishness also in the world of the consciousness. Because a lot of people, we don't want to share our spiritual wealth, our divine gifts to others. Even as preceptors, they have so many techniques, but they just do some cleaning and send off. They don't take time and effort to work on each individual abhyasi. That is where the master's greatness is, when they make that statement that they want to see us better than them. That means they are working towards that. That means they're trying to pour into us. Such generosity is needed to cross just the heart region. So, as long as there is selfishness, liberation is impossible, is the word Babuji says, impossible. In love, we do not realize why we worship divinity. This is a very good condition. Experiencing the omnipresence of divine conveys the fact that mergence in that divinity has increased so much that the presence of his soul is present in everyone and he sees only divinity in everyone. So the condition should be that you see divinity in everyone and everything. It's everywhere. To explain this condition, Kabir Das ji has written, "The door, the gateway have become my mirror. Wherever I look, I find you. Even the pebble, the stone, and the small potsherd have become my looking glass." Emphasis has been given on attaining mergence, layavastha, in Sri Ramchandra mission, and I have also written about it in its various stages in efficacy of Raj Yoga in the light of Sahaj Marg. It is necessary to understand that as long as we have body consciousness, we will not even be able to reach the doorstep of divinity. So we have to move from that periphery, trying to come to the center from the very beginning. And that is what I was talking about in the beginning of this session, where we are moving from periphery to the center. That's what when Daji says, become centered. Meditation should lead you to centeredness. Is we have to let go of that body field and come to that absolute state. It is necessary to understand that as long as we have body consciousness, we will not even be able to reach the doorstep of divinity. After this, soul consciousness begins, and a seeker understands it is divine. When even the consciousness of the soul is lost, that is, when both body consciousness and soul consciousness are gone, then we begin to attain divinity. Even after this stage, there are many stages in this layavastha, which is mergence, and it's turiya to continue, the fourth state. The state obtained after death is called turiya, the fourth state. This can be called the aspirant's final boundary or limit. When it is given a thought, it is the primary matter and yet very simple. When we cast off our layers, coverings, then divine mergence commences. When we lose everything, all our possessions, we become gunatit, beyond virtues, that is beyond both good and bad. It is called divine mergence. Until we reach that state, many changes takes place, and this path is easy to travel only with the help of the yogic transmission or pranahuti. When we start traveling towards subtle states, the prevailing force pushes us down and we do not possess the power to counter that force. This is what we talked about in our classes where in the Kala Shakti method, where the sages of the past used to travel. The power from the center is descending, and to go travel against it force is so difficult. That is why Babuji discovered this, the path of the heart, where he's taking us like behind the waterfall, and with the power of the transmission he's pushing us ahead as an ascension is happening because of the power of the transmission. And as these points, all the chakras are actually our connection to the absolute, and as we are traveling, when all these chakras are transcending, going forward, that is the path of kundalini that the sages talk about. So, when we start traveling towards subtle states, the prevailing forces push us down, and we do not possess the power to encounter that force. That is why only a guide who has already crossed this stage can be of help here, as he receives power that is able to conquer this force. He is able to take a seeker to greater heights through his willpower. Only he is fit to be called a true guide. If we approach a so called saint or a guide who tells us about rituals for divine worship or prescriptions given in the books, then it is my understanding that there is no difference between the seeker and the guru, because those things don't take you forward. The external rituals will not give the inner ascension. That is why, if a seeker is well versed by going through such books, he can also learn the practice. We are in need of a guide who can help us in our path and lead us. Swami Vivekananda has also said somewhere that we should go to such a guide who has the power of transmission. Then alone it can happen. Without this reverse current, so pranahuti is the reverse current that is helping the ascension against the flow of the source descending. Then alone it can happen. Without this reverse current, it is difficult to take our raft in the right direction. A beautiful chapter. This book itself is amazing. It is a very profound book that some of us may find difficult to understand. But by the grace of the transmission, as our inner selves are cleared, we start to have a glimpse of what the great elders are sharing with us who have traveled the path. So we should read and reread. So let us now meditate.